So, I came across this video stating that Sam Raimi's Spider-Man is an overrated mess. While the video seems to make an honest attempt to break down the trilogy, there are lots of mistakes made in the criticism, which I'll be addressing in this response. This should go without saying, but do not harass the creator or send any hate. Honest and constructive comments are fine, as long as they're kept respectful and in good faith. With that said, let's move forward with the response.
Now, obviously, I already said that I don't really like these movies that much. Now, I don't hate them, but I don't think they're that great. And one of the reasons why is because in all of these movies, Peter, aka the main character, I don't know if you knew that, he's kind of a nerd. In this movie especially, he is incredibly scared to talk to MJ at every single opportunity. He's shadow talking, he's ghost talking to MJ.
I mean, a lot of teenagers are like this, so I don't see how this is a problem, especially since he grows more confidence in his later conversations. A clear example of this is when he talks to MJ on a personal level, where he learns more about her goals and interests. His conversations become more casual over time, like the times when he bumps into her on the street in this movie. He has a whole conversation with MJ where he opens up about his feelings in a bit of a roundabout way by saying he said something like that to Spider-Man. In fact, the end of the movie shows MJ appreciating Peter for how he treats her and encourages her to be herself, which in itself is reliant on Peter growing more confident in talking to her.
He always, just throughout the entire movie, is letting everybody walk on him. Like, he doesn't ever really fight back or stand his ground at all. He's just kind of letting people do whatever they want to him.
That's because he can't fight back in most cases. At best he could tell the teacher, but that's usually frowned upon in high school, and when he gets his powers, he does fight back against Flash.
Don't get me wrong, Peter Parker as a character should definitely be a loser. He should be a nerd, he should be wimpy, he should be the things that Wimpy Maguire is. However, I think in this trilogy, they take it way, and I mean way, too far. He is the biggest loser you could possibly imagine.
I'm not sure how they took it too far, because that would require his behavior to be inconsistent with his character.
I think that they could have solved this just by giving him some sort of progression throughout this movie or throughout the trilogy, where, you know, over time he gains confidence and becomes a stronger and cooler kid.
But he does progress. Like I said earlier, he becomes more confident in talking to MJ. At some point in the first movie, Peter initially shuts his mouth when Jameson tells him off for defending Spider-Man.
Menace. He was protecting that armor.
I'll tell you what, Atticus, you take the pictures, I'll make up the headlines, okay? All right? That okay with you?
But later, Peter goes out of his way to call out Jameson by arguing with him.
Spider-Man wasn't attacking the city. He was trying to save it. That's slander. You don't trust anybody. That's your problem.
What are you, his lawyer? Get out of here.
And we see Peter grow more of a backbone against Jameson, such as negotiating his pay.
I'll give you $200 for all of them.
That seems a little low.
Take them somewhere else then. I'll give you $300. That's a standard freelance fee. I'll give you $150.
300.
That's outrageous. Done.
And when there's a decision between Peter and Eddie as the staff photographer, Peter argues his case to Jameson.
Wait a minute. I know it makes a good picture, and I've been here a long time. If there's a staff job, Mr. Jameson, I think I deserve it. You'll never get that shot.
Oh, we'll see.
Now, another big critique that I have with the first movie especially is that Norman Osborn, aka the Green Goblin, he's not a good villain. He's a bad villain. I'm sorry to shit on your parade. He's really one of the worst villains in cinematic Spider-Man. One of my biggest problems with him is that he's literally just bad for the fuck of it. All he does that makes him a bad guy is takes his bad guy serum, like I already said. It's this little, like, human enhancement juice or whatever. That's literally how they describe it, basically. He takes it, and it goes bad, and it turns him into a psychotic bad guy. That is lame. Make him have an arc. Make him have motives. You know, anything. Don't just give him the bad guy serum. I think it's a pretty cheap way to make a bad guy.
Norman didn't turn into a bad guy because of the Goblin formula. He was already a bad guy because of his obsession with power and how he puts that above everything. He was willing to give the military an unfinished formula just to save his company and overpower another, and was willing to snap on someone for calling this out instead of covering it up with him.
In one trial, yes.
It was an aberration. All the tests since then have been successful.
We need to take the whole line back to formula.
Back to formula?
The serum didn't force Norman to be evil, it simply gave him the power to do what he always wanted to do, and a voice to feed him ideas and opportunities.
Power beyond your wildest dreams, and it's only the beginning. There's only one who can stop us. Imagine if he joined us.
His motivation is tied to his ideology, the idea that the masses exist to uplift the powerful and comply with their demands, an idea which he would have developed as a greedy businessman who puts his company and legacy above all else.
And those teeming masses exist for the sole purpose
of lifting the few exceptional people onto their shoulders.
Now, the really frustrating thing about this, in Norman's case especially, is that the movie gives him a perfect conflict. In the middle of the movie, he gets kicked out of his company, Oscorp. What they could have done was made him be the Green Goblin, and in the beginning, he's kind of a good guy. Like, not a bad guy, but just kind of a guy with superpowers. But he becomes a bad guy after he has the motivation from that conflict. After he gets pissed off that he gets kicked out of his own company, that would be a perfect motivation for him to become a bad guy.
I'm not sure how that would be better. I don't think being kicked off his company is a good enough reason for him to go from being kind of a good guy to a sadistic killer who is willing to kill all of Peter's loved ones for simply saying no to him. You need to set up more about his character for this to work. In the movie we got, they drop hints of Norman's character flaws so that when he does become a supervillain, you can gather how he got here. When we get lines like this,
No one says no to me!
we can understand that Norman is speaking from experience, ranging from Dr. Strom, the government, or his board members. He's growing tired of constant rejection, and it drives him to be more sadistic later on.
But they also could have originally made him a good guy, and he's trying to live up to be Spider-Man, but he can't. That would also be another great conflict that we could see him turning into a villain for.
That genuinely doesn't fit at all for Norman Osborn. He wouldn't want to be like Spider-Man to do good, he wants to benefit himself. Why would Norman put his life or anything that helps him stay powerful on the line just to live up to Peter?
He swings at Peter so many times, trying to beat the ever-living shit out of him in front of all these people, and then Peter hits him one time, which sends him flying because he has superpowers, but then everybody's mad at Peter and acting like he's the bad guy and like he's in the wrong. Now, this scene just really confuses me. I don't know why they did that. I think it's very obvious that Peter was acting in self-defense here.
Peter didn't use his powers for self-defense. At first he did by restraining and overpowering Flash, but instead of ending the fight there, when he clearly had Flash beat, he decided to use his powers to punch him and humiliate him, and he was proud of it. That's not responsible. If Spider-Man was in a position where he already overpowered a regular guy, but just punched him hard for the sake of it, that's not being a hero, that's just being petty. We have to remember that Peter knows he has powers by this point. Flash couldn't hurt Peter if he tried. This isn't self-defense.
Now, the characters in this movie are, just like the plot, extremely basic. But honestly, I don't think it's for the best. Spider-Man is not quippy enough as a character. That's one of his biggest character traits. Mid-fight, he's gonna be like the only superhero you'll ever see that's talking shit mid-fight and cracking jokes, and that's what we love about him. He's too wimpy in these movies as Peter and as Spider-Man, and he's not even telling like any quips at all this entire movie.
So I'm willing to concede that Raimi could have done more to make Spider-Man funny. However, to claim he doesn't quip at all simply isn't true. People have said this about the trilogy as a whole, so I'm just gonna play some clips to prove that he does.
What are you doing up there?
Staying away from you. That's a cute outfit. Did your husband give it to you? Cheese! Well, Beat's taking the subway. Don't mind us, she just needs to use the elevator. Set him down, tough guy. Hey, kiddo, let mom and dad talk for a minute, will you? You have a knack for getting in trouble.
I'll be here when you get back.
Not coming back, Chief. It's you who's out, Gobby. Out of your mind. Here's your change!
Getting on my nerves.
I have a knack for that. We sure showed him.
What do you mean, we?
Oh. Jig's up, pal. I guess you haven't heard. I'm the sheriff around these parts. Uh-oh. Where do all these guys come from?
Give me some of that web action.
See you, chump. Stings, doesn't it?
I'm gonna kick your little ass.
Ooh, look at little Goblin Jr. Gonna cry?
Looks like just in the nick of time.
A couple minutes ago wouldn't have been so bad either.
He's way too mean to his parents, and I know they're not his parents, they're his aunts and his uncle, but he's way too mean to them throughout the entire movie. Almost every time, either his aunt or his uncle says something to him, he's an absolute dick about it, and he acts like he could not care less about what they have to say.
In the example you showed, he wasn't feeling great and was tired, so I don't see why he wouldn't be slightly dismissive, and generally speaking, he does show love to both of them.
Now, in some context, this works based on, what's happening in the movie, but for the most part, he just is an asshole to him, and I don't know why. I don't even like this depiction of Ben or May, but he's just so mean to them.
So in this clip, he's being dismissive to May because he's trying to hide something. There is context to justify this scene as well.
Now, MJ, in this trilogy, gets so much worse than she is in this movie, but even in this movie, she is a terrible love interest. She can't pick between one man. At one second, she's with Harry, aka Peter's best friend, and then the other second, she's acting like she wants to go fucking head over heels for Peter.
Yeah, because she doesn't like how Harry treats her. This is after Harry went off on her for talking bad about his dad, even though he just insulted her multiple times.
Look at her.
You think a woman like that sniffing around because she likes your personality
personality?
Everyone heard that creep.
The creep is my father. So just keep your mouth shut about stuff you don't understand.
Harry Osborn.
Now, like I said before, Ben and May, aka Peter Parker's parents, are just such cardboard cutouts in this movie. People look back really fondly. They say that this May, especially May, is like the best May in cinematic Spider-Man. She is a cardboard cutout, okay? I'm not just gonna like her just because she's a sweet old woman. She does like nothing in these movies.
Wow, that's definitely a statement. This isn't true at all. May does plenty in these movies, like when she helps Peter become emotionally stronger by reinforcing Ben's belief in him. It's what provokes Peter to follow through with Ben's dream for him to use his gifts to help the world. That in itself is pretty major. She also goes through her own struggles, which the second movie does more to expand upon, but we see the ways in which she grieves after losing Uncle Ben when Peter isn't around, and her entire arc in the second movie is about moving on from Ben the way he would have wanted them to, while also hinting that she knows Peter is Spider-Man and showing her helping Peter through his superhero struggles. Even the third movie shows this when she talks about revenge and the morality behind deciding who deserves to live or die.
And of course you already know, but like Ben gets just fucking capped in the beginning of the movie, so he's doesn't do anything either.
Ben is literally the guy who teaches Peter to be a hero.
These people are supposed to be inspiring, you know? They're supposed to help Peter whenever he's down. And they do that, but they do it in like the easiest way possible.
Ben literally remarks on how he's reluctant to ask Peter about what's going on with him.
Something's bothering him. Maybe he's too embarrassed to tell me what it is. Maybe I'm too embarrassed to ask him, you think?
And he has to experience a bad conversation with Peter in order to get him to understand a point. May has to see Peter crying over his own guilt before inspiring him to remember what Uncle Ben wanted for him, while also dealing with the loss of Ben. I don't see how any of this is easy for them.
Now Harry, aka like I said, Spider-Man's best friend, is just kind of in this movie. He doesn't really do anything. I honestly don't know why he was in this movie. He barely, he might have like 10 lines tops, but he barely says anything, he barely does anything, and he's just kind of there.
Harry's character allows for a connection to be made between Peter and Norman in the plot. He also represents the result of Norman's parenting compared to Ben and May's parenting. It sends a message about the harm that parental neglect can cause, and it's done in a way where Harry has his own character and a unique dynamic with Peter. Harry is so focused on trying to impress his father because of the high expectations he sets for him. Peter meets Norman's expectations and receives more love and attention than Harry does, which gives Harry a motivation to push himself and makes his relationship with Peter more complex.
And then the Green Goblin, while he's saving both of them, is like fucking him up, right? He's getting in his way, he's trying to stop him. And while that's happening, these people on top of the bridge that the Goblin just dropped both these things off of start throwing shit at him, and they're like, hey, you're trying to pick on a guy who's trying to save a bunch of kids? But like, Goblin was just on top of that bridge and dropped these people. So they would have known, they would have had to have seen that Goblin was the one who caused this. It's not well written.
Yeah, they know. That's why they call him out and try to stop him.
At the end of the first movie, Harry goes and tells his dad that MJ's a cheating bitch after he sees her with Peter. So we can assume from this that he's probably not very fond of MJ anymore, right? They're probably not very cool or on good terms. But in one of the beginning scenes of this movie, him and MJ are throwing a surprise birthday for Peter, and they're completely cool the entire time, like nothing ever happened.
They do address this in the movie. Harry did try to move on from this and let go of his anger towards Peter, because Peter is the only family he has left.
Thank God for you, Peter. You're the only family I have.
We know Harry was holding this in because while he was drunk after believing he was ruined, he went off on Peter as if he held in these emotions for a long time, while giving off the impression that he had moved on and everything is okay.
It pisses me off your loyalty to Spider-Man and not your best friend. And act like you're my friend. You stole MJ from me. You stole my father's love. And you let him die because you didn't turn into a freak.
You can clearly see he's still resentful. He simply decided to hide it all this time.
But not only that, but he's also like mad as hell at Peter. So he figures out that Peter takes pictures of Spider-Man for the Daily Bugle, and for some reason, that makes him just as mad as Peter as he is at Spider-Man for killing his dad.
He's not just as mad at Peter. He straight up wants to kill Spider-Man. He told Otto not to hurt Peter. The reason he's mad at Peter is because he believes he's not only profiting off the killer of his dad, but he's enabling him by refusing to turn him in.
But like, what does what Spider-Man does have to do with Peter? All Peter is doing in Harry's eyes is taking pictures of him. Like, they're not really that connected. His actions don't affect Peter's actions the same way around.
Peter is the only one getting these photos of Spider-Man. They've established that they weren't getting decent pictures.
Problem is, we don't have a decent picture. Eddie's been on it for weeks. We can barely get a glimpse of him.
I pay you because for some reason that psycho Spider-Man will pose for you.
If Peter is the only photographer getting these photos, someone observing the situation might suspect that there's a connection, which Peter doesn't refute when Jameson states this. In fact, he proceeds to imply that he has direct contact with Spider-Man.
Spider-Man won't let me take any more pictures. You've turned the whole city against him.
Not only this, but Peter tells MJ that he had a conversation with Spider-Man.
I know him a little bit. I'm sort of his unofficial photographer.
There's no reason to believe that MJ couldn't have ever disclosed to Harry that Peter is in contact with Spider-Man, especially since Peter's absences are constantly talked about, and a common reason is the photos of Spider-Man.
He lives in another reality. Don't you, Pete?
Where you been, pal? You don't return my calls.
I've been busy.
Taking pictures of Spider-Man.
But we can actually see him have some sort of a progression from being a normal guy with bad guy powers to then becoming a bad guy. I think, like I said, that he still does have the movie juice problem. He becomes almost instantly a bad guy after his science fair project goes wrong, but there is a little progression.
This is not a problem with Otto either. He is shown refusing to accept his machine is unstable even before the accident, where he attacked Spider-Man for trying to pull the plug. He is not as unethical as Norman, but he still has flaws as a character that get amplified through the arms manipulating him. He actually shows remorse for his actions before he tries to convince himself that he wasn't wrong and that he can make something out of his loss.
There's this one scene right after Doc gets his arms and he's like starting to turn into a bad guy, where there's this car that's coming up to him, and the arms, not him, the arms flip the car over him and most likely kill the person that was driving the car. But Doc's reaction to this was like freaking out, like he put his hands up, you know, he was freaked out, and we can see that the arms were the one doing the bad thing, not Doc. Now, like, immediately after this, he turns into a bad guy that's like kidnapping May and like dropping her off buildings.
This is after the scene where the arms convinced Otto to finish his project by any necessary means. While Otto is willing to kill people, he doesn't do it without a reason. He sees his machine as greater than the lives he is risking.
Now, MJ in this movie, oh boy, is MJ rough, awful, abrasive 800 grit sandpaper in this movie. So in the first scene that we get with Peter and MJ is like ghost edging Peter, trying to get him to admit that he likes her, and she even has like his hand on her face, and after Peter won't admit it, she's like, oh yeah, I have a new guy too. So that basically sets the stage of how awful of a character MJ is gonna be in this movie.
I don't see how that's a problem. She sees Peter potentially hinting an interest in her, but then proceeding to back down on it.
Saw your billboard on Bleecker.
I'm really kind of embarrassed.
Don't be. Get to see you every day now.
I liked seeing you tonight, Peter.
Oh boy, yeah.
Oh boy, yeah. What?
Nothing.
She can tell that Peter is lying, as he has a clear history of doing. The point of MJ telling Peter that she's seeing someone is that she's tired of him not telling the truth and sending mixed signals, and that she's going to move on if Peter refuses to be honest. I know people like to condemn MJ for this, but even if you are a superhero with a secret identity, it's still a bad thing to play with someone's emotions by giving them inconsistent answers on if you love them or not. Peter could have just told MJ it was good seeing you too, but instead, he went,
oh boy, yeah.
Clearly his temptations got the better of him after Harry told him that she's still waiting for him, so he slipped up and acted more revealing than he should if he wanted to keep his distance from MJ. Peter is also making mistakes here. I don't see why she can't get annoyed at him.
Throughout the entire movie, Peter is trying his absolute best to be there for MJ at every opportunity possible.
MJ has no reason to believe that. Peter said he would show up at her show. He didn't show up despite promising to, and he didn't even give a good reason for it. And this isn't the first time Peter has broken a promise, as the movie directly implies that this is a pattern of behavior.
Don't disappoint me.
I won't. I know you predicted I'd disappoint you.
Bingo.
Constantly trying to talk to her, constantly trying to check up on her, make sure she's okay. And the entire time she'll be pushing him away, and then she'll just snap and act like she likes him for no reason.
She literally explains why she was dismissive of Peter at first.
Some part of me heard what you had to say after the show that night, that you were different. I was afraid to trust you.
This scene is while she suspects that he's Spider-Man and his sudden changes align with Spider-Man's sudden retirement, so it gives potential context for why he's so flaky.
And this entire time, like I said, she has that new guy that she's with who she's absolutely terrible to. It feels like these two have zero chemistry, and every single time we see MJ and her new guy, it's only there to fuck with Peter.
That's not why she's with him. She's with him as a way of moving on.
And the worst part about all this is that, I kid you not, at the very end of the movie, her new guy and her are about to get married, but then she literally leaves on their wedding day to go try to be with Peter. Are you kidding me?
Okay, it's not flawless.
And then she goes to Peter and she's like, I'll be with you even though you're Spider-Man, I love you, all this stuff. And it feels so out of nowhere because we just spent the entire movie watching her shit on Peter. But then the second she figures out that he's Spider-Man, she's like, oh, okay, well now I like him.
Yeah, because that changes things and recontextualizes his behavior.
So he goes to tell her and he tells her about the whole wrestling thing or whatever, all this stuff. And May's instantly instantly pissed at him. And, you know, on paper this makes sense, but if you actually stop to think about it, it makes zero sense at all. So just to recap, Peter said that he was going to go to the library. He didn't go to the library, and he went to a wrestling place so that way he could win money. And then after he didn't get paid what he thought he was going to get paid, he let this robber guy get away, which is what ended up killing Ben. Now, in May's eyes, he actually did go to the library. But even if he were to have gone to the library, Ben still would have died. If Peter went to the library, that guy still would have robbed the money guy, and then he still would have gotten away, and Ben still would have been waiting in the same place for Peter, and he still would have got shot. Nothing changes if Peter did what he said he was going to do. So there's no real reason for May to be mad at him.
This is such a strange reading. None of this negates the fact that Peter could have stopped the robber, but didn't. This also ignores how the only reason Ben drove Peter to the library is because Peter needed an excuse to get out of the house. It was Peter's lie that caused him to go there.
What May should have done was what she did do about 2 scenes later after she stopped being like a wicked bitch about it, and she was like, it's okay, Peter, you know, I understand. I'm glad that you told me the truth. That was really brave of you. I think that if she would have done that in the beginning, it would have been a lot better because it would have shown Peter to stop being scared about all the things he's bottling up, which is one of the main conflicts in this movie.
Why would that be better? What works about May's reaction in the scene is that she doesn't know how to respond, so instead of saying anything hurtful, she just leaves and processes everything. That is such a big bomb of information for her to learn. Of course she's not going to be immediately rational and know what to say for Peter's sake. This is directly set up at the beginning of the movie.
Were I to face the one responsible for what happened, I don't know what I'd do.
But one thing I will say about this movie that I think a lot of people get wrong is it doesn't really feel that different from the rest of the trilogy.
Yeah, it does. This one's bad, the others are great.
Now, MJ is really the main thing I want to talk about this movie because I've kind of hyped up her being terrible this entire video. But yeah, this is her peak, I would say. So like I said, ending in the last movie, she said that she's going to be with Peter no matter what, and she doesn't care that she's Spider-Man. She's going to accept him, and they're going to, you know, she'll find a way to make it work. And then like the first time Spider-Man has to do Spider-Man things in this movie, she's like pissed off that he has to go and do Spider-Man shit. Literally just completely flips on her word.
She's not mad that he has to do Spider-Man stuff. She's mad that Peter is too busy thinking of a response to her problems instead of first listening to them to properly understand.
This is something you're gonna have to get used to. Believe me, I know. Spider-Man gets attacked all the time.
This isn't about you.
I know, and I'm just saying, if you pull yourself together, you get right back on the horse and...
Don't give me the horse thing. Try and understand how I feel. I look at these words, and it's like my father wrote them.
And that's literally her biggest thing in this movie, is hating Peter for having to be Spider-Man.
No, her problem is that Peter is acting egocentric. He acts as if he has all the answers and doesn't need any help. And a mindset like this is how you make mistakes without learning from them.
She's mad that he gets all this spotlight, he gets all this attention for doing all this good stuff.
She's not mad at him for getting attention. She's simply jealous about it in the scene. Feeling jealous in itself isn't a bad thing. Acting toxic over it is a bad thing.
And that all the stuff he ever talks about is Spider-Man, even though that's his entire life. He's a superhero. What the fuck did you expect?
There's a time and a place for this. Talking about Spider-Man without understanding how she's feeling is bad timing.
Like, Peter has absolutely no business being with MJ at this point. She has been absolutely terrible to him this entire time. In my opinion, I think that he should have gotten with Gwen.
Peter is literally in the wrong in this movie, but okay. That's pretty much all there is to respond to. Every other criticism towards Spider-Man 3 is valid, so I don't need to address them here. With that said, is the trilogy an overrated mess? I'd say that's the case for the third movie, but not the first and second. They're really good Spider-Man stories. That's all I got for now. What do you all think? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe if you want more of these videos, and feel free to suggest other videos to respond to. That's all for now. Goodbye.